It's very important now for modern HADL investigations to sample the entire trench, various depths and various different kinds of habitats within this.
7 miles beneath the ocean, something was waiting. For millions of years, it sat in the dark, untouched, unknown. Then one submersible changed everything. When scientists brought back what they found, governments went silent. Military budgets suddenly shifted. Tech companies started hiring in secret. Because down there, in the crushing darkness, wasn't just a discovery. It was a threat, and only one nation can control it. This is the story of what happened when we finally went to the bottom of the Mariana Trench, and what we found there that nobody expected. For decades, we thought we knew the ocean. We mapped it. We studied it. We believed it was mostly empty, just rocks and a few strange fish. We were wrong about everything. A single mission changed that. And within weeks, submarines started moving into position. Research stations began construction. Drone swarms were being built in factories. The question wasn't whether we'd found something important. The question was, what would happen when the world realized what it meant? Most people think the ocean floor is flat. It's not. The Mariana Trench is a scar in the Earth's crust that drops nearly 7 miles straight down. It's called the Challenger Deep, and it's the deepest place on the planet. To understand how deep that is, imagine this. Take Mount Everest, the tallest mountain in the world. Drop it into that Challenger Deep. It would disappear completely underwater. There would still be over a mile of water above its peak. The pressure down there is incomprehensible. It's over 1,000 times stronger than what you're feeling right now, enough to crush a human body like paper. The temperature sits just above freezing, and it's pitch black. No sunlight has ever reached the bottom. Nothing moves except the slow drift of sediment and creatures we've never seen before. For a long time, scientists believed nothing could survive down there. They were certain it was essentially dead. A barren wasteland, a place where life simply stopped existing. Then, in 2023, a mission called the Mir Project decided to take a closer look, not to sightsee, to hunt. They sent down a state-of-the-art submersible called the Fendouge. Its job wasn't to observe, it was to collect. The submersible worked like a deep-sea vacuum cleaner, sucking up massive amounts of sediment from the ocean floor. Scientists watching from the surface had no idea what they were about to find. When that mud came back to the lab, they expected the usual: rocks, maybe some dead bacteria, fossilized remains. What they got instead made them question everything they thought they knew about life itself. The samples contained something impossible, and once they realized what it was, they locked the data down tight. No announcements, no press releases, just silence. Because someone didn't want the world to know yet. When the lab results came back, scientists stared at their screens in disbelief. The sediment samples contained over 7,000 different types of microorganisms, bacteria, archaea, organisms that shouldn't exist in conditions that extreme. But they did exist, and 90% of them were completely new to science, never documented, never seen before. It was like discovering an entire alien civilization hidden beneath our feet. But the existence of these creatures wasn't the shocking part. It was what they were doing. These microbes were thriving in conditions that should have obliterated them instantly. They were eating toxic chemicals for energy, surviving pressure that would snap steel in half, operating in temperatures near freezing with zero sunlight. Everything about their existence violated the rules we thought governed life itself. Scientists ran the tests again and again. The results stayed the same. Then they discovered something that changed everything. These organisms had a biological superpower. Their DNA had built-in repair mechanisms. When pressure or chemicals damaged their genetic code, these tiny creatures fixed it. Instantly, automatically. Like having a repair crew inside every cell, working 24/7 with perfect precision. In our world, damage leads to aging. Aging leads to death. That's how biology works. But down there, these things just fixed themselves and kept going. They could theoretically do this forever. When researchers realized what they were looking at, the implications hit them all at once. If we could understand how these organisms repaired their DNA, we could replicate it. We could apply it to human cells. We could stop aging. We could cure diseases that kill millions every year. We could unlock biological immortality. This wasn't just a discovery. It was a blueprint for rewriting human life itself. And that's when the secrecy started. Phone calls were made to governments. Military officials got briefings. Tech billionaires started making calls. Because whoever controlled this technology would control the future. The race had begun, and nobody on the surface knew about it. But the microbes weren't the only thing down there worth trillions. The ocean floor of the Mariana Trench is covered in something that looks like dirty potatoes scattered across mud. Scientists call them polymalic nodules. They're lumpy, they're dark, they look completely worthless, until you crack one open. Inside, these nodules contain cobalt, nickel, copper, and manganese. The exact materials needed to build modern technology. Every electric car battery, every smartphone, every laptop, every device powering the digital world requires these metals, and they're running out on land. Right now, mining these materials on Earth is a nightmare. It's expensive, it's destructive, it pollutes entire regions, and the deposits are getting harder to find. We're digging deeper, poisoning more land, moving mountains for materials we can't live without. But down in the Mariana Trench, there are trillions of dollars worth of nodules just sitting on the seafloor, waiting, already concentrated, already packed with exactly what we need. The math is simple. Whoever controls the deep-sea nodule fields controls the global battery market. And in the 21st century, batteries are the new oil. They power everything. Electric vehicle, solar grids, renewable energy. The entire shift away from fossil fuels depends on having enough batteries, which means it depends on having enough cobalt, nickel, and manganese. China knows this. America knows this. Every tech company on Earth knows this. That's why the race for the trench became a race for the future. It wasn't just about resources anymore. It was about global dominance. It was about who would control the technology that powers civilization itself. But there was something else down there. Something even more dangerous than the nodules. Something that could literally destroy the planet if extracted wrong. And nobody was talking about stopping the mining. Next to those nodules, buried in the sediment, is something scientists call fire ice. Its real name is methane hydrate. It looks like frozen white slush, harmless, boring even, until you bring it to the surface and hold a match to it. It burns, and when it burns, it releases energy, massive amounts of energy. Some estimates suggest there is more energy trapped in methane hydrate deposits than in every oil and gas reserve on the planet combined. Put another way, infinite clean energy is sitting at the bottom of the ocean, just waiting to be harvested. This should be good news, a solution to climate change, an answer to our energy crisis, unlimited power for billions of people. Except there's a problem. The seafloor where this fire ice sits is unstable. It's held together by pressure and cold. Disturb it wrong and everything collapses. Start drilling, start dredging, start mining for methane hydrate, and you trigger something that scientists are terrified of: massive underwater landslides. But that's not the worst part. If extraction goes wrong, if a drill hits the wrong spot or mining operations cause vibrations, methane gas could be released in catastrophic quantities. We're talking about plumes of methane shooting up through the water column and hitting the atmosphere. Methane is a greenhouse gas 80 times more potent than carbon dioxide. A single massive methane release from the trench wouldn't just warm the planet. It would accelerate climate change overnight. Scientists call it a climate bomb, and it's sitting at the bottom of the ocean, waiting. Yet despite the risk, the machinery is already being built. Giant robotic harvesters that look like underwater bulldozers are being designed right now. They'll crawl across the ocean floor, scraping up nodules and drilling into hydrate deposits, feeding the hunger of our tech industry and energy markets. Nobody is stopping this. Nobody is even seriously discussing stopping it. The machines are coming to the deep, and when they arrive, everything changes. Not just for the ocean, for all of us, because one mistake down there doesn't stay down there. It bubbles up, it spreads, it reaches the surface where we live. While governments fight over resources, pharmaceutical companies are focused on something else entirely: the microbes. Specifically, how to steal their secrets. Those DNA repair mechanisms? They're not magic, they're proteins, enzymes, biological machines that work at the molecular level. And if scientists can identify exactly which proteins do the repair work, they can try to recreate them, they can study them, they can eventually use them to treat human cells. The implications are staggering. Right now, our cells are under constant attack. UV radiation from the sun damages DNA. Pollution damages it. The simple act of existing, breathing, metabolizing, living damages it. Over time, our bodies get worse at fixing that damage. That deterioration is called aging. And aging leads to every disease that kills us. Cancer, heart disease, Alzheimer's, organ failure. But what if we could give human cells the same repair capability as these deep-sea organisms? What if we could patch up DNA damage the moment it happens? Cancer starts when cells accumulate mutations. Stop the mutations and you stop cancer before it starts. Aging happens because cells can't keep up with repairs. Speed up the repair process and you slow aging to a crawl. Maybe you stop it entirely. We're talking about treatments that could prevent disease. Therapies that could extend human lifespan by decades, maybe centuries. The biotechnology industry is worth hundreds of billions of dollars. This discovery could be worth trillions. But the medical applications are only half the story. The creatures down there have also evolved something else. Flexible bodies that don't collapse under pressure. The Hadal snailfish has no hard bones. Instead, its cells are filled with special molecules that prevent collapse. Engineers are studying this. They're asking, what if we could create materials that mimic this structure? Submarine hulls that bend without breaking. Spacecraft that withstand forces that would normally destroy them. Military drones that can dive deeper and stay longer than anything currently possible. Materials so advanced they seem like science fiction. This is why governments are moving fast. This isn't just about curing disease, it's about military advantage. It's about building technology that surpasses anything your enemies can create. The nation that cracks this code first doesn't just get medical breakthroughs. It gets dominance. It gets weapons. It gets the future. And right now, two superpowers are racing to figure it out first. One is playing by the rules. The other isn't. The United States' approach to the Mariana Trench has been careful, scientific. They declared the trench a national monument. They send research vessels to map the floor and stream videos publicly. It's transparent, it's open, it's the moral high ground, but it's also slow. Meanwhile, China is taking a completely different approach. They're not mapping for knowledge, they're mapping for occupation. Reports indicate plans for a permanent deep-sea station. Think of it like the International Space Station, except it would sit thousands of feet underwater. Base crews could live for weeks at a time, where research could happen continuously, where resources could be extracted without stopping. Components are already being developed. Construction timelines are already set. But here's what makes this terrifying. China isn't relying on humans alone. The strategy involves something called drone swarms. Instead of sending one expensive, advanced submersible, you send hundreds of small, cheap, robotic drones. They communicate with each other. They map terrain automatically. They hunt for resources. They work in coordination. If one breaks, it doesn't matter. You have 99 more. They keep working. This is a game changer, and it's a strategic nightmare for rival nations. If one country establishes a permanent presence on the ocean floor with an acoustic sensor network and a drone swarm, they can monitor everything. Every submarine movement, every ship passing through the Pacific, every military operation in the region. The Mariana Trench becomes a listening post for half the globe. Submarines are supposed to be invisible. That's their entire purpose. But if someone is listening from the ocean floor with advanced sensors, invisibility disappears. You can hear propeller vibrations from miles away. You can track thermal signatures. You can record every conversation. This is the new Cold War. It's quiet, it's dark, and it's happening under extreme pressure, 7 miles below the surface. The nation that masters deep-sea technology wins the century. Not through military might alone, but through information dominance. Through resource control, through the ability to extract the materials and biological secrets that power the future. The United States is aware of this shift. Military budgets are being redirected, new programs are being funded, but they're playing catch-up. China has been planning this for years, building capacity, training specialists, testing equipment, and now the pieces are moving into position. The race isn't just scientific anymore. It's not even about economics. It's about who controls the future of human civilization. And the competition has already turned deadly silent. No announcements, no declarations. Just submarines positioning themselves in the dark. Just drones being assembled in factories. Just the quiet sound of a new world order being built, miles beneath our feet. While militaries position submarines and governments fight over resources, NASA is watching these discoveries with intense focus. But they're not interested in mining. They're interested in aliens. Here's why. The Mariana Trench is the closest thing we have to an alien world without leaving Earth. Right now, NASA is actively planning missions to Europa, a moon orbiting Jupiter, and Enceladus, a moon orbiting Saturn. Both are encased in miles of ice, frozen, dead-looking. But beneath that frozen crust, scientists are almost certain there are massive oceans, liquid water, churning beneath the ice for billions of years. These alien oceans have no sunlight, no oxygen, no familiar conditions, just pressure, chemical heat, darkness. If life exists there, it has to look exactly like the organisms we just found in the Mariana Trench. Microbes eating pure chemicals for energy, fish surviving pressure that would flatten a tank, life that doesn't depend on the sun, life that thrives in conditions we thought were impossible. The trench is a training ground, a testing facility for finding life on other worlds. The robots being developed to explore the deep ocean right now, they're prototypes for the machines that will swim on Europa in 20 years. The sensors being tested in the Challenger Deep, they'll be calibrated to hunt for biosignatures on distant moons. The data we're collecting about extreme life organisms, it's rewriting how we search for aliens. Scientists are learning that life is far more resilient than we thought. It doesn't need familiar conditions. It doesn't need sunlight or oxygen. It can adapt to almost anything, which means the universe might be far more alive than we ever imagined. But this creates a problem. If life can survive in conditions that extreme, what else might be down there in our own ocean that we haven't found yet? What else is hiding in the dark? Because the Mariana Trench isn't just a laboratory for understanding alien life. It might be hiding alien life, right here, on Earth. And we're only just beginning to look. But limiting our imagination to just microbes might be our biggest mistake. There's a theory in biology called the shadow biosphere. For decades, we've assumed all life on Earth shares common ancestry, the same DNA structure, the same genetic code. But what if that's wrong? What if there's a second genesis of life down there? Life that evolved completely separately. Life that doesn't use DNA as we know it. Some organisms might thrive on arsenic instead of carbon. Others might use silicon as their building block. The bizarre gelatinous structures seen by deep-sea cameras might not be animals at all. They might be biological colonies operating on a completely different evolutionary tree, an entirely separate branch of life that's been hiding in the abyss for 4 billion years. We might be looking for little green men in the sky, while an entirely different sentient biology has been swimming beneath our feet the whole time. And then there's the sound. In the late 1990s, NOAA recorded something called the bloop. An ultra-low frequency sound so powerful it was heard by sensors thousands of miles apart. The acoustic signature was terrifyingly organic. Scientists eventually claimed it was an ice quake, but many researchers still aren't convinced. What if it wasn't ice? What if something down there was communicating? There's another theory, one that fringe oceanographers whisper about. The trench might not just be a habitat, it might be a hiding place. We assume prehistoric giants, megalodons, ancient leviathans died out eons ago. But in an ecosystem that hasn't changed in 100 million years, why would they die? The phenomenon of abyssal gigantism is real. Squids down there grow to the size of school buses. It's not a stretch to imagine that truly massive apex predators migrated into the crushing dark to escape extinction events that wiped out surface life. They could be down there right now, moving slowly through the sediment, unseen by our tiny spotlights, listening to our propellers. But if it's not ancient monsters, it might be something worse. Us. There are theories that superpowers aren't just mapping the ocean floor for mining. They're building autonomous unmanned stations. Nuclear drones hidden in trenches 6 miles deep. Second-strike weapons that no satellite can detect and no torpedo can reach. Forward operating bases for a war that hasn't started yet. The glitches in sonar. The strange metallic shadows on deep-sea scanners. They might not be geological features at all. They might be someone else's secret. But before we can worry about what's down there, we need to face what we've already done to it. In one of the deepest dives ever recorded, a robotic lander touched down in the Challenger Deep. It was a moment of triumph, a historic achievement. Then the cameras turned on, and scientists saw something that made them sick: a beer bottle. Further down, they found a plastic bag, a fishing net, microplastics embedded in the bodies of amphipods that have survived for millions of years. We've turned the most remote, most isolated place on the planet into a garbage dump before we even finished exploring it. The pollution might seem like a side issue, a footnote, but it's not. The sediment at the bottom of the trench is a time capsule. It contains bacteria and viruses that have been dormant for millions of years. Pathogens that modern surface life has absolutely no immunity against. Diseases that went extinct when their hosts died out. Biological time bombs buried in the mud. As we dredge the seafloor for manganese nodules, as we drill into the crust for methane hydrate, we're not just disturbing dirt, we're waking the dead. There's a very real, non-zero chance that the next global pandemic won't come from a wet market or a laboratory. It will be dredged up from the abyss, attached to the hull of a mining ship, released into the ocean, and then into us. This is the double-edged sword. We have the technology to find miracles down there. Cures for diseases, infinite energy, keys to understanding life itself. But that same technology allows us to destroy faster than ever before. We're acting like looters in a library, burning the books to see better in the dark. So here's where we stand. Governments are racing, militaries are positioning, mining equipment is being built, and the one place on Earth we should handle with the most care is about to become a battlefield. The silence of the deep is ending. The machines are coming, and whatever happens in the next 10 years down there will ripple up to the surface and hit every single one of us. The question isn't whether we'll extract the resources. We will. The question is, what will we unleash when we do? Because something down there in the dark has been waiting for us. And we're finally about to find out what it is.